All right, we're getting started. Welcome to a revival of Nothing But Worry, the show where I, Lance Ash, and my wife, Bonnie,
God help me.
talk to each other for a full episode of fun and entertainment. Partially inspired by the fact that I just watched George Rockwell Schmidt's new show, Dead Air, where he finally brought his wife on camera. And I must say, she's way prettier than you deserve, George. All right. Now, let's hear what you have to say initially.
Initially?
Yeah, any opening thoughts?
None.
What do you think about Trump being indicted?
That is a person I care not to speak about, but may he burn in hell.
Well, do you think there's going to be violence on Tuesday when he shows up at the courthouse?
Well, I think that he will call for violence, because that's in his nature. A scorpion is a scorpion. As to whether or not people come out, I don't know.
I think people are going to show up.
Well, they showed up in New York too, but it was like 8 or 12 of them, and they were outnumbered by tens of thousands of New Yorkers laughing at them.
Yeah, but this is Florida.
This is Florida, and Florida man will show up, yes. How much? I don't know.
There are those of us who live here in Georgia who think that we live in an intellectual wasteland. We think that we live in a swamp of stupidity, but
It's not Florida.
right. We're lucky enough to live near Athens, which is, as Henry Rollins once said, an oasis in the middle of all this shit. But even beyond the reactionary politics of the old people that live in Florida, I've always hated Florida. Anytime we went
Flat.
What-
Sandy. Hot. Muggy. Crocodiles. Mosquitoes.
yeah,
Fuck, they even have iguanas and boas now.
I've always once. It really starts before you get to the Florida border.
Yes.
Round Macon,
Yes.
halfway down Georgia, that
Sand.
sort of
Gnats.
white sand.
Sulfur water. The
Yeah,
only thing you can drink is sweet tea, because the water is so bad.
but I've always hated that washed out look to the scenery when you get into Florida. And it's I can't stand
It's just
that heat and that humidity, that stickiness your skin has.
Yeah. It's terrible.
When I went years ago. I went to California for 2 weeks, and we went. Must have been a state park or something. It wasn't classic desert, but it was a desert environment. But anyway, they had signs up saying, "Be careful, because of the lack of humidity, you'll get dehydrated before you realize it."
Mm-hmm.
And I'd never been in that kind of environment before. All right, we have some topics that I was going to use for my regular show, but we'll use them here. All right, number one was George Rockwell Schmidt's new show, and Bonnie hasn't seen it, but 2 seconds of it, and it was just, it was nice. It was two people who know each other very well basically talking about nothing but TV shows they've watched.
Yes.
It wasn't as rambling as when he talks to Damien. There's a lot more, and plus there wasn't any scatological stuff, trash talk, the way you would with two guys talking to each other. Second topic is board games, which I wrote down because George and his wife brought up playing Monopoly with each other. And she said that she wasn't a board game person. But when I was a kid, I was a big board game person. And that started because I I have two older cousins that lived in North Carolina, and whenever we'd go visit them, they had tons of board games that they would play. And when I got home, I was like, yeah, I need a whole bunch of board games too. So I started getting them for Christmas every year.
Well, that was part of base life, that you live on a military base and you basically move into a community where other people are in the same situation, and board games are a great way for kids to spend time together. And it's an easy way to get along.
Well, one of the things I wanted to bring up on this topic is when I was in sixth grade, around Christmas time, they started advertising on television this new board game that was coming out from Parker Brothers called Rough House. And it was one of the games I asked for Christmas that year. And I could never play it because the rules were so confusing and complicated. I tried to find some information out on this topic online, and I couldn't find anybody who also found it confusing. But we used to have some hour during the day where the boys would go to the gym, and usually they'd either play volleyball or something, but my friend Richard and I would sit up on the bleachers and we'd play games. And I brought Rough House one day because I thought maybe if I bring it into school and try to play it with Richard, we can figure it out. And the both of us couldn't figure it out. So that one never got played. But my sister and I used to play Monopoly. We'd make up our own rules. We had a Scrabble game, but I never got to play it until I got married, because Bonnie's the only person I found that was intelligent enough to play it with me. And the kids, they can play it with us. I think it's some other board games we used to have growing up.
Trivial Pursuit.
Yes. Well, the thing is about that game.
You memorized all the answers, didn't you?
No, but I remember two things about that. I remember on the Today Show, they had a piece one time. What are going to be the hot items this coming Christmas that people are going to want? And one of them they said was Trivial Pursuit. So I said, "Oh, this is going to be great." So I told my parents I wanted that for Christmas that year, and
you could not play with
my mother went down and got it. And the person at the toy store told her, "You're lucky you came and got this because this is flying off the shelves, and we're going to be out of it before you know it." So it's another example that Bonnie can be able to tell you that I've been just ahead of the curve on things that know what's going to be the hot talking point, a day before everybody else does.
It's called advertising, dear.
Well, that game is also the game that my friend Mitch and I first bonded over, because we were like becoming friends, but you're not. It's just sort of like school friends at that point. But he came over to visit. We played Trivial Pursuit together, and we started laughing over it so much.
What was that game that stood upright and it was slots, rows?
Connect 4.
Yeah, I remember
That was a fun game.
It was black and white little things or something?
Red and black with a yellow frame.
Okay.
In Germany, that game is called Vier Gewinnt, which is the name of an album by Die Fantastischen Vier, Germany's biggest rap band. Bonnie's twirling her finger like, who gives a shit? We also had that game. I played it with Peter when he was little. We still had it. It was like a combination game.
Stackable?
It was like
Stackable Scrabble. Remember that one?
Stackable Scrabble. No.
Yeah, we had a stackable Scrabble game. It was like Scrabble. You put down the words, and then you could put a title.
That's called. Peter bought that when we went on that trip to Charleston. Yeah, I can't remember the name of it. It's in the closet somewhere. Mm-hmm. But I'm talking about the game I'm talking about stood upright like the Connect 4, and it had like safe combination turners, and you had to get your 5 or 6 colored circles down to the bottom before the other person on their side. But when you turned your combination thing, it would turn theirs as well. Yeah. But if you memorized where the things were in relationship to each other...
Battleship. Remember Battleship?
Battleship. My sister would cheat. We would play.
Wow, she'd put you in front of a
No,
bench?
she'd just lie. If I got a hit, she'd say miss.
Ah,
And we'd play and play, and I'd say, that's impossible. I can't have sung something yet. And I turned around and look at her side, and she had just cheated.
Jesus.
What's some of the games we had? Oh, Chinese checkers.
Yeah. Was it 6 corners or 6?
Yeah, five, I think. Maybe it must have been 6.
6, yeah.
My mother bought that for me when I was in 2nd grade.
God, that was all the rage.
And my dad worked the afternoon shift, so he didn't get home till like 11 at night. And I snuck out of bed, and I was playing with it on the living room floor when he came in from work. And he played with me for, a little bit. And I was just so delighted I got to see him, because I never got to see him for that year or whatever that he was on that shift. That's why I never wanted that shift when the kids were little, because I never would have seen them.
What shift?
It's like you go in at 3 in the afternoon and get home at 11 at night. You never get to see your kids because they're in school during the day. Yeah. What else we got here on the list? Oh, last topic. Bonnie won't want to talk about this either. But I've been on a Rod McEwen kick lately. I collect Rod McEwen stuff. And once again, I have his Greatest Hits Volume 1 and 2, and I've been so tempted over the last 24 hours to get Volume 3 and 4. But there's a part of my brain that says, don't waste $10 on a CD that you're never going to listen to.
What is the connection between him and Jacques Brel? Did he translate some of his songs?
Yeah, they were friends. Rod McEwen went to France back in the 50s or something, and he met Jacques Brel, and he was the first person to translate some of his songs into English. And they were big buddies.
Do we have that tribute album, Jacques Brel is Alive and Well, still?
It's around here somewhere. Rod McEwen was in a gay relationship the last 40 years of his life, but he had two, some people say one, some people say two sons by a French woman in France that he never saw. He never raised them. And the thing is about Rod McEwen, I think we've talked about this before. I think he's one of these people he wasn't really gay. It was more a matter of he fell in love with who he fell in love with.
Yeah.
And, that's
the reality, I think. I think different times in your life you love different people and in different ways.
Yeah.
I think things are a lot more fluid than everybody thinks.
I don't want to mention any names, but we know somebody who I don't think she was really a lesbian, but she fell in love with another woman early in life, and that's just who she was with her whole life.
Oh.
I mean, this same woman once told me that she thought Denzel Washington was cute. So,
There is the idea of those people who are asexual, and it may be that the two of them led a sexless life.
you
Maybe
never
that's
know.
how she reconciled it with her Christianity.
Well, you never know. I mean, some people are uncomfortable with sex. I know somebody in my family that's that way. Anyway.
Yeah.
But,
Do you think those two women shared a bed?
probably.
I don't know. There's so much.
But they were with each other from high school.
I know.
Like
I know until
50 or something years.
Until her friend died. Her friend.
Well, that's the way, Yeah.
It's sad that people can't live honestly and openly. Peter's workplace, they have a rainbow sign up, says we welcome everybody. It's Pride Month. It's one of those rainbow signs that has all the different colors, including brown and black and such.
Did you see that?
And so the first day they went up, I drove up and Richard was putting the signs up in the thing. And I drove up, I said, Richard, I just want you to know that on behalf of me and 10 people that I know, those are awesome signs. I appreciate the fact that you guys are inclusive. Well, Peter said somebody came in this week and said, I can't believe you're catering to a mere 4% of the population.
I didn't hear this story.
Oh, yeah. Actually, they prefaced it with, I don't have a problem with anybody. I believe in equal rights for people. But I can't believe you are catering to 4% of the population with those signs. All it says is, we welcome everyone. And it is in front of the multi-rainbow flag thing. And everyone is welcome here. We are inclusive.
Well,
And so this person came in and complained about it, couching it and all these. Oh, but I'm not da da da, and I don't have a problem with, but yet they have a problem with.
well, you got that
And
story I sent you about.
Told the manager, Richard, he says, I want to file a complaint about it. And Richard said, well, I will send in an email right now. And Richard sent in the email. The funny thing was, he sent it to the district manager, who he specifically knew was in charge of their diversity program. And he says, I'm writing this email because I told the customer I would write the email. And they're complaining about the signs. Just wanted you to know there's one person.
Well, I sent you that story about Cracker Barrel putting up some sort of acknowledgement of Pride Month or something, and right-wingers having a fit about it because this is one of the places that they have celebrated for years.
I wrote back, remember the history of Cracker Barrel.
Yeah, Cracker Barrel at one time refused to hire gay people or something like that.
Said that they would be able to pass along AIDS in the food. Biggest crock of shit. And for years, decades, people would not go there that were liberal or gay. Well, recently the gays have been going there and just taking over the place and serving and stuff. And they are...
I ate there one time. I think it was on either
I've
the
never
trip
eaten
up
there
or the
in my
trip back
life.
from Virginia I did years ago. And it was like canned corn and mashed potatoes. And I just thought, what is the big appeal of this place?
Damned if I know. I would never go there, though.
It's just nothing.
It's hee-haw. It's hee-haw for food.
Well, the two guys who do Internet Today were talking about this story, and they're like, why would you go eat in a place that looks like it's a barn? And they sell like old-fashioned jump the peg games behind the counter in the entrance.
Cornhole. Did you know?
I know what it
Have
is.
you heard about what's going on?
Uh-uh.
Your family reunion this year? The entertainment includes cornhole.
We get those games in the mail, and those things weigh like 60 pounds. It's a pain in the ass. Oh, Lord. And it's such a... Cornhole is like an old term for anal sex. I don't know why they would use...
I don't either. I don't know.
Oh,
You
dear.
think they would have changed the name by now?
Yeah. Let me see something here. Oh, excellent. Making excellent time here. What's happening this week?
Your sister's away out of town in Montana.
Is that where she went? Why did she go to Montana?
A friend there. I didn't ask any details, male, female. I didn't
She
know.
travels to go see friends so much. I just don't.
You ain't never been nowhere, never done nothing, right, babe?
Well, I've traveled in my mind to
You
distant.
have actually gone places.
Well, briefly.
California, New York, Washington, Scotland. You
California was a dispiriting experience, ultimately.
Did you not go to Texas at some point?
No.
Just me, I guess. Okay.
My one-man drunken trip to Birmingham was something I barely remember, but it's something I'll never forget.
Like my drunken trips to Clemson. Of course, they were just...
Richard and I went on a day trip to Clemson for new shoplifting opportunities, and was drunk as hell. And I remember pulling into the Clemson campus and thinking, my God, the University of Georgia. Well, the University of Georgia is just
beautiful.
Fantastic
It's an
campus.
arboretum. It's an actual arboretum.
Well,
Clemson's a wasteland.
yeah. I don't know. People need to come and visit Athens just to walk around the campus. It's
I remember
unbelievable.
that going there for Greek Day. I'm like, where's the frat house we're gonna go to? It's like, well, there are no frat houses. We have dorms and like you got to be kidding me. I mean, we have a whole fraternity and sorority row, and they're like, it's in the dorms.
Yeah, I remember going to. I don't remember where the Acacia House was. Acacia was a non-Greek fraternity, and over there on Millage.
Was it not the place that did the kudzu parties?
I have no idea about
Right
that.
there on the corner of Millage and Lumpkin?
I don't remember, but
It was the one that,
I just thought it was
God.
it was an interesting bunch of guys because they seemed a little more culturally
Oh, God.
aware than your
Remember
average
the KA
doofus.
parties where they would dress up like antebellum slave owners? Like individuals
I remember
got
the-
banned from the fucking camp.
I do remember
Christ.
a lot of controversy back in the late 80s about some of the frats going absolutely overboard
Oh yeah.
with drunken behavior.
And we won Playboy.
Yeah. Do you remember there was an
College of the Year?
No,
Or
it was an
Party College of the
infamous.
Year?
There was an infamous list in Playboy magazine in one year of the most hard partying
And you said it was
colleges,
on the top?
and it said it was like the top 10,
yeah,
and at the
yeah.
bottom it said we didn't include UGA in this list because we wanted to make it fair to everybody else.
Yeah, it was like Peter when he was in AP biology. The teacher said, "I'm not going to include Peter's score because otherwise you don't get the curve." yeah, I remember UGA was known for drunkenness. I mean, my God, we have the biggest cocktail party on Earth. It was what we claim when we go down to Jacksonville
It's
for the Florida game. Georgia,
it's
Florida
not the
meets
same
at a
anymore,
neutral
like-
site.
yeah.
But
Downtown is just a collection of nothing but bars and restaurants, or it used to be much more like that than it is now.
No, it's gotten bad again. It has.
Well, there's a bunch of upscale. Well, I don't know. Downtown's not the same since they moved.
They
all
now
this
have
big-
bars on top of bars. Do you know that?
No.
Yeah, they have street level bars, and then the floor above is another bar on top of it. And of course, don't forget, back in our time, they started having the basement bar over across from the Michael Brothers. That's where I saw Mike Mills.
Oh,
before that time.
That
There was above it was an Irish bar, and then to the other side was another type of bar. Bars stacked on bars.
yeah, it's not the same anymore though.
Yeah, they had that big expose a couple of years ago in one of the major magazines or newspapers or something, that went and explored the party culture of Athens, Georgia bars, and they didn't realize that during the story they were also going to be covering the fact that when the kids got out of hand, the Athens police would call UGA police to take the kids away, so that it was a slap on the wrist.
Well, I think maybe one of the reasons I feel that way is because I just don't get to go downtown anymore.
We went recently, didn't we?
We went down to eat pizza downtown.
Yeah, that was on a graduation night or something. So
I was so disappointed in that calzone. It wasn't. I guess I don't know. But anyway,
I had
all
a
right,
couple of beers. I hadn't had beers in forever.
all right. We're about to wrap this up.
Ooh, pizza.
Oh, yeah, we have frozen pizza if you want. You know, frozen pizza is such a.
pizza. Bleh.
Yeah, I had talked about taking you out to eat at El Jinete, but that won't happen tonight.
No.
Maybe next weekend when things get back to normal.
Shit. I don't know if this procedure's gonna work.
It'll work. Have faith.
Faith.
It's a faith-based medical procedure.
Bullshit.
They have chicken bones and they shake them over you with
Well, we're gonna kill you, and then we're gonna bring you back to life.
the blood of the cockerel.
Fuck.
All right. Any last topics we can talk about?
Yeah. No.
All right. Well, I guess that's about it then. I gotta get down and do some work now. All right. We'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.